Greetings, adventurers! We're traveling through time and unearthing ancient gems of gaming history, games that everyone has forgotten. Today's entry belongs in our adventure archive. Today's game is The Dig. In the mid-1990s, the world of video games was undergoing a significant transformation. The rise of more powerful hardware, the growing popularity of CD-ROMs, and the increasing sophistication of game design were pushing the boundaries of what interactive entertainment could achieve. During this era, LucasArts, a company already well known for its groundbreaking adventure games like Monkey Island and Day of the Tentacle, set out to create something truly unique, a game that would combine the cinematic storytelling of Hollywood with the immersive, puzzle-driven gameplay that had become the studio's hallmark. This project was The Dig, a science fiction adventure game that would take players on a journey to an alien world filled with mystery, exploration, and discovery. But The Dig was more than just another point-and-click adventure. It was a bold attempt to tell a serious, complex story in a medium that was still largely seen as lighthearted and whimsical. The game's origins are as fascinating as the final product itself, rooted in a concept by legendary filmmaker Steven Spielberg and shaped by the creative forces at LucasArts over a tumultuous 6-year development process. As we delve into the creation of The Dig, we'll uncover how this ambitious project evolved from Spielberg's original vision into a video game that, despite its challenges and setbacks, has since become a cult classic. The Dig begins with an ominous discovery. A massive asteroid named Attila is hurtling towards Earth, threatening all life. The urgency of the situation propels a 5-member crew into space, tasked with planting explosives on the asteroid to alter its course. The team, led by Commander Boston Lowe, consists of a diverse group of experts: Dr. Ludger Brink, an archaeologist and geologist, Maggie Robbins, a linguist and journalist, pilot Ken Borden, and NASA technician Cora Miles. They represent humanity's last hope to avert disaster. The mission begins with precision and determination as the team successfully plants the charges and diverts the asteroid into a stable orbit around Earth. But the momentary relief is short-lived. As they explore the asteroid further, Lowe, Brink, and Robbins uncover a hollow chamber within Attila, where they are suddenly trapped. The asteroid reveals itself to be far more than a simple rock. It transforms into a dodecahedron-shaped pod and accelerates into the depths of space, taking the trio far beyond their solar system. When the pod finally halts, the crew finds themselves on an alien planet surrounded by 5 towering spires. The planet, later named Cocytus in the game's novelization, is desolate yet rich with signs of a once thriving, intelligent civilization. However, the civilization has vanished, leaving behind only cryptic ruins and an overwhelming sense of abandonment. As they begin to explore this strange world, they encounter a spirit-like energy that seems to guide them to an ancient, buried structure.
No! It's completely...
I can't! No! Ah! Brink!
Tragedy strikes when Dr. Brink, digging to uncover the structure, accidentally falls into a cavern and dies. This loss marks the beginning of a psychological unraveling within the group. The team splits up. Driven by both necessity and a creeping sense of isolation, Commander Lowe, desperate to find a way home, discovers alien technology that hints at resurrection. Using this knowledge, he brings Brink back to life with a mysterious green crystal. But this act of defiance against death sets off a chain of events that reveals the darker side of the alien world. The crystals, which seem miraculous at first, soon show their true nature. Brink becomes addicted to their power, hoarding them, and growing increasingly obsessed. This addiction drives a wedge between the team members, leading to conflict and mistrust. As they delve deeper into the alien ruins, they revive an ancient alien who explains the tragic history of his species, obsessed with achieving eternal life. The aliens had created the crystals and attempted to transcend their existence by moving to a new universe, but their experiment went horribly wrong. They became trapped, unable to return to their original universe. Commander Lowe realizes that their only hope of returning home lies in helping the aliens regain their ability to cross dimensions. But the price is steep. In a climactic battle over the crystals, Brink dies once again, consumed by his addiction. Robbins also meets her end, and the player is faced with a moral dilemma: whether to use the last crystal to revive her, knowing the potential consequences. If revived, Robbins tragically rejects her second chance at life, ending it herself, which reflects the profound psychological burden the crew faces in this alien world. In the final moments, Lo makes the ultimate sacrifice by entering Space-Time 6, guiding the aliens back to their original universe. In gratitude, the aliens resurrect Brink and Robbins, curing Brink of his addiction, but leaving him as an elderly man, a stark reminder of the consequences of tampering with forces beyond human understanding. If Robbins was not revived earlier, she returns with Lo, content with their survival. If she was revived, she harbors deep resentment, adding a complex layer to the story's conclusion. The aliens rebuild a spacecraft for the humans, and they return to Earth, accompanied by alien representatives. The story of The Dig is not just a tale of survival and exploration. It is a profound meditation on the human condition, the ethical limits of science, and the psychological toll of encountering the unknown. The moral of the story emphasizes the dangers of obsession, whether with knowledge, power, or immortality, and the importance of humility when facing the mysteries of the universe. The Dig stands out as one of the most ambitious and unique projects in the company's history. The game's development was a complex journey, marked by a long production cycle, multiple creative leads, and a bold attempt to blend cinematic storytelling with interactive gameplay. The story of The Dig began with none other than Steven Spielberg. Originally conceived as an episode for the TV series Amazing Stories in the 1980s, Spielberg's concept involved a team of astronauts sent to deflect an asteroid, only to be transported to an alien world. It was a mixture of the classic 1956 sci-fi movie Forbidden Planet, where a scientific team explores a seemingly deserted world, and the 1948 drama The Treasure of Sierra Madre, where three miners slowly turn on each other out of greed. However, the idea was deemed too expensive to produce as a television episode or film, so it was shelved. In 1989, a meeting at Skywalker Ranch, attended by Spielberg, George Lucas, and game designers Ron Gilbert and Noah Falstein, set the stage for The Dig's transition into an adventure game. Initially, Falstein was tasked with leading the project, with some aid by Hal Barwood. The two later went on to develop Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. Although the general idea of three characters marooned on an alien planet is the same, many elements of this version were substantially different. Instead of taking place in the present, it was set in the future after humanity has discovered faster-than-light travel and colonized various other planets. An exploration team is sent to explore a newly discovered planet named Ozymandias, which appears to be desolate, but of course, nothing is quite as it seems. The team is led by one Major Tom, and the player would have been able to choose from two other crewmates, a Russian engineer named Tarasov, and an Australian biologist and somewhat sexy lady named Fox. When the team sets down, Major Tom goes missing, and so the remaining team begins to look for him, stumbling upon alien ghosts in the process. At one point, the two characters would have had an argument and split, with the other occasionally popping in to provide necessary aid. Although the initial design documents have surfaced on the web, very little of this version seems to have actually gone into development. After 18 months, Falstein left the project. Over the course of its development, The Dig underwent several significant changes, reflecting the evolving vision of its creators and the technological limitations of the time. One of the most notable shifts occurred when Brian Moriarty, known for his work on Loom, took over as project leader. Moriarty's version of the game introduced a more serious and darker tone, even including a character who would suffer a gruesome death: Toshio Lema, a Japanese businessman who was funding the project on the condition that he could join the team. This version would have been very violent, as Toshi was meant to die horribly in an acid shower in a cavern. An accident, if you will. However, after the release of Jurassic Park in 1993, Spielberg, concerned about potential backlash from parents, requested that the game's violence be toned down. Not only that, but it was filled with lots of scientific lingo, the sort of technobabble that sci-fi fans would enjoy the hell out of, but would scare the mass audience that LucasArts executives were hoping to attract. This led to further revisions, including the removal of certain grim elements and the refocusing of the game's narrative on exploration and mystery rather than survival and horror. Unfortunately, also Moriarty left as the project became too stressful, and he was unhappy with the direction management was taking with the project. In an interview with the International House of Mojo, the Dig's art director Bill Tiller reveals why the team at LucasArts couldn't break away from the project.
3 words: Spielberg, Spielberg, and Spielberg. They thought that the game was so hyped, it would have to be a big hit. To not release Spielberg's first game, especially when Spielberg's close friends company was doing it. Let's just say, George Lucas would have been very annoyed. So the company felt it was best to get it done rather than cancel it. Sean, Gary, and I made sure the final version got out the door. All 3 of us were determined, through thick of thin, to get the game done and get it done well. We willed that game over the finish line. I am sure we all lost years off our lives because of that project.
After Moriarty left, Dave Grossman briefly took over, followed by Sean Clark, who eventually saw the project to completion. Each of these transitions brought new ideas and challenges, but they also contributed to the game's lengthy development cycle, which spanned 6 years. Technologically, the Dig was ambitious, combining traditional 2D art with pre-rendered 3D cutscenes created by Industrial Light and Magic. The art style of the Dig is further characterized by its use of muted, earthy color palettes. Bill Eakin was asked by Mojo where he drew inspiration for Casitas and its inhabitants.
Initially, I sketched it to look more like Monument Valley in Arizona, but with water. I love to paint rocks, and I really wanted to use color cycling to make animated water. But Brian came up with the idea of 5 pillars and 1 dodecahedron crater at the center. I still like the earlier sketches, though the final concept is sort of interesting. I actually took some of the 6-legged designs I did for Noah's Dig and changed the number of appendages. I think Brian only wanted flying things though. No animals scampering about except maybe things in the water. He wanted to get so far away from Noah's idea that he refused to allow 6-legged critters. That's just plain silly. Noah had it, so you had to find food too. There were plants of all sorts, and you had to figure out which was edible. You had to keep finding them, or your food supply would run out. He wanted it a little more like a role-playing game in that sense, or a strategy game. But because Brian wanted to totally abandon everything Noah did, he wouldn't even let me put plants in the artwork. He thought someone might try to eat them. I never tried to eat any of the plants in any other game, but that's how Brian's mind works. I guess when Spielberg recognized his genius, he wanted it to be his genius, and not anything he copied from Noah. The Twilight Sky idea came because I'd originally done some art like that, only because it looked cool, and Brian decided it was always Twilight.
Still, the Dig succeeds in what it sets out to accomplish, and that's to immerse you in a strange, fantastic alien world. The scenery is dominated by blues, purples, and greens, in addition to the dingy brown of the planet's surface, which is aesthetically quite gorgeous. The primary theme for the alien technology is a strange marriage of geometric and organic shapes. Many puzzles have you focusing on patterns of geometry or assembling shapes. Light manipulation is a primary aspect of the alien technology as well, and you'll often find yourself traversing convenient light bridges. The use of the SCUM engine, a staple of LucasArts adventure games, allowed for the intricate puzzles and point-and-click mechanics that define the gameplay. However, the game's visual style and some of its design elements became somewhat dated by the time of its release, reflecting the rapid advancements in gaming technology during the early 1990s. The game's soundtrack, composed by Michael Land, played a crucial role in establishing the atmosphere of the Dig. Inspired by the works of Richard Wagner, the score was both haunting and grand, perfectly complementing the game's themes of isolation and discovery. The soundtrack was so well received that it became the first LucasArts game to have its music released separately as an audio CD. Upon its release, the Dig received mixed to positive reviews. Critics praised its atmosphere, story, and music, but many found the puzzles overly difficult and the graphics somewhat outdated. Despite strong initial sales, LucasArts considered the game a commercial disappointment due to its high development costs and the enormous expectations surrounding it. Over time, however, The Dig has earned a reputation as a cult classic. Its blend of cinematic storytelling, challenging puzzles, and immersive atmosphere has continued to resonate with players, especially those who appreciate science fiction and narrative-driven games. In retrospect, The Dig stands as a testament to the creative ambitions and challenges of game development in the 1990s. A game that, despite its rocky path to completion, succeeded in leaving a lasting impression on the adventure gaming genre. At its core, The Dig is more than just a science fiction adventure. It's a philosophical exploration of humanity's place in the universe, the nature of existence, and the consequences of our actions. The alien world in The Dig serves as a metaphor for the unknown, the vastness of the universe that remains beyond our comprehension. As the characters uncover the secrets of this world, they are confronted with moral dilemmas, such as the power to resurrect the dead using alien technology. This brings up questions about the ethical implications of playing God and whether some knowledge is too dangerous to be wielded by humanity. The game seems to suggest that with great power comes great responsibility, and that the pursuit of knowledge must be tempered with wisdom and caution. The moral of The Dig can be seen as a meditation on the consequences of our actions and the importance of humility in the face of the unknown. What about you? Have you played The Dig? Would you play it today? Write it in the comments.